Don't be afraid to be the silly goose that you are. Today we're sitting by the literal road, so that's why you can hear a bunch of cars, because you know what life is all about? It's about putting yourself out there, sometimes making yourself a little uncomfortable, because you know what? Everything that you want lies outside of your comfort zone. Sometimes you gotta be a silly goose. You gotta have people think that you're a silly goose, but in reality, you're actually very serious about the life that you want goose. But that don't mean that you take everything so seriously that you can't go out and have fun. And honestly, we shouldn't be spending time around people that cannot handle the silly goose that you are. Have you ever heard about a serious goose? No one cares about the serious goose, okay? And I know that might sound a little bit mean, but you know what? I'm not here to tell you that everything is unicorn poop and all fun and games. I'm here to talk about how you can become the best version of yourself so you can literally tap into your potential, because that's what you deserve to do. You do not deserve to shrink yourself for anyone. You do not deserve to be around people that only know how to handle serious geese. I can't even take it seriously that goose in plural is geese. Whoever made that up is actually insane. But so am I for sitting out here and filming this video while cars are running by. This is exactly the reason why we have subtitles though. But all of the cars running by is also a great metaphor for having to stay you and keep doing what you need to do, even though there are people that want to drown out your noise. There are always going to be people passing by and there are always going to be people looking at you. But you know what matters? That you show up for yourself and you stay silly goose, even though some people tell you that you need to be serious goose. One of my personal favorite things to do at the moment is to go outside and start singing. Act like life is a musical, because if you want it to be, it literally can. And as I said before, everything that you want in your life literally lies outside of your comfort zone. So sometimes you just gotta get out and make yourself a little bit uncomfortable to actually see who you truly are underneath being scared. Being scared is like you wearing a hat and in reality you have luscious hair under there. But you're afraid that people might think that that hair is ugly, and now you take off your cap and you're like, wow, actually my hair's pretty. The truth is, you guys, that no one really cares that much, and if they actually do, they gotta take that up with themselves, maybe their mom, whoever. They don't need to take it up with you. You're just living your life. And the only way that you can get what you want in your life is if you realize that it's really not about them caring what you think. It's about you caring if they think something about you. You know what? They probably will think something about you, but they probably won't think about it that much. And honestly, a lot of people think that it's awesome that you're putting yourself out there because they don't have the guts to do that. But contrary to popular belief, most people are actually like you. They're overthinkers. They think about every little thing that everyone says about them. They think about whether their bowel movements are okay. They think about whether their kids are happy. They think about whether their butt looks too big or too small in their jeans. And if they had to think about all of the things that you're going through and you're doing as well, boy, they would be so overloaded. And there's a really good reason why they get angry, because why would they think about all of that? So that's a really big sign that you need to stop thinking about what other people are thinking, because in reality, that's just you thinking. It's not them, it's you. This is exactly where we have to practice some law of detachment, which means we have to stop putting focus on things that are not what we want in our life. Hate people thinking we look ugly in those jeans. People thinking we can't sing. People think we look stupid doing what we're doing and being like, what is she doing? I wonder what she's doing. Your duty is to focus on doing and getting what you want. And when you use the law of detachment and you detach from everything that you do not think goes into the recipe of your life, suddenly you will have so much more time for being a silly goose instead of being a serious goose that you've probably been unwillingly, because you felt like you needed to take everything so seriously to make it work out. It's kind of like when you go to bake a pie and you have a bunch of ingredients in your kitchen and you know that not every single one of those ingredients are going to go into your pie. Do you go and scream at the pepper for not fitting in your pie? No, because that would not get the pie made faster. You calling your mom, your sister, and everyone and like writing on Instagram that there's pepper in your kitchen and it shouldn't be in your pie, like literally cussing out the pepper, it's not gonna get your pie baked, honey. The pie is only gonna be baked when you start baking the pie instead of cussing out the pepper. And that's exactly how you have to use the law of detachment. If it doesn't fit in your life, Why are you making a big deal out of it? You might say, well, I feel like I need to take responsibility for everything. I just feel like I need to do right by the world. I'm an empath. I just want better for people. If you're truly an empath, you should be empathic towards yourself. And being empathic towards yourself does not involve stressing yourself out over other people's problems that they're not even going to solve for themselves. They're going to make you solve them because they understand that you're willing to lower yourself, waste all of your energy for them. They know that they can take all of your energy. And you keep labeling that being an empath, but in reality, you're just a pushover. Not actually a pushover, you're just putting your own needs last. And if you ever want to make the world a better place, you got to heal your own world first. You're saying you want to make the world a better place, but you're letting a man walk all over you. You're saying you feel like you need to take responsibility for everything. And me, as a firstborn daughter, firstborn grandchild, I know exactly how that feels. But you know what? It just wastes so much of your potential. And it's actually robbing you of all of the energy that you could recycle into yourself to the point where your cup would overflow so much that you could actually pour back into people without feeling depleted. But at the moment, you're probably making yourself too much of a serious goose because you are pouring from a cup that is not yet full, which means that you are constantly in self-love debt because you think in order for you to get what you want, you need to be a nice and good person, which means pouring into other people when you don't even have love for yourself. The kindest and most moral thing that you could do for everyone to make their lives better is for you to focus on yourself. You have to build your power to the point where giving doesn't feel like you need anything back because you already have enough. If you're only trying to give from the point of not having enough, then you're actually taking. Because a lot of the time when we give, we expect something back. And then we take it personally when we don't get anything back. And you know what? You never take anything personally if you are not taking. That's so important to remember. You never take anything personally if you are not taking. You only take anything personally if you're taking from someone. But the truth of this universe is you have to give without expecting back, and then you receive from the universe. But you cannot be giving unless you have poured your energy back into yourself to the point where when you give, you do not feel depleted if someone does not pay you back. This is exactly what turns us into serious geese because we're trying to keep track of what everyone owes us to the point where we can't even focus on owing us self-love. Now we're focused on them and them and them and that mom and my ex. Everyone did me wrong. Boo-hoo. I'm not gonna lie, that was quite mean. But as I said before, they never talk about the serious goose. They talk about the silly goose. And you know why they talk about the silly goose? Because the silly goose has detached. The silly goose uses the law of detachment. The silly goose doesn't have time to think about what everyone else thinks. The silly goose is not trying to overcompensate and be more or different than what it is. The silly goose is appreciated for being who he is, which is a silly goose. Silly goose goes out to sing, even if there are cars driving by, even if there are people looking at the silly goose. The silly goose doesn't even see rejection therapy as rejection therapy. It just sees it as, you know what, if it's rejected, that just means that it's not for me. It's not supposed to be in my life. And you know what silly goose then does? Silly goose keeps being silly and doing whatever silly goose wants. Silly goose does not scream at the pepper in the kitchen when baking a pie because silly goose knows that the pepper's not supposed to be in the pie, so why should it worry about the pepper? Because if silly goose called up silly goose's mom and said, the pepper's in my cupboard, I don't want it in my pot, silly goose wouldn't be silly goose for that much longer. Silly goose would be known as way too serious. Why aren't you making your pie, goose? Like, you don't need to put freaking pepper in your pie. And me personally, I made a choice that the serious goose days are over. I recently started really trying rejection therapy. And one of the ways I've been trying it is that every day I put up a video of me singing on my Instagram. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, maybe go out and go over and watch those videos. Because honestly, it's just about putting yourself out there, even if it feels a little scary. Because you're probably thinking more about it than anyone else is thinking about it. And you could actually end up getting a lot of opportunities from just putting yourself out there. But you would never know if you didn't do it. And guys, I've been feeling my silly goose energy increase like crazy. And maybe I'll be even more sillier before you know it. And maybe we can be silly geese together. Step into your silly goose era. Detach yourself from what everyone else has got going on, because what matters is what you got going on. What matters is you filling yourself with self-love, becoming so happy about yourself that you just feel like smiling and waving whenever someone looks at you, because that must mean that they love a good silly goose. And also because silly goose power is real. So go and tap into it. Step into your silly goose era. You deserve it.